Welcome back, fuckers. Alrighty, in today's video, we are going to be continuing on with the all things brand new people to DCS World, and we're going to have a look at the Su-25 Frogfoot. We're going to get into it. So this is the aircraft that you get with the base game. Okay, the Su-25, the base aircraft that you get. And we're going to go through how you would fly this thing from the very get-go. Okay, so this is tailored at the person that has just found out about DCS World. They've just downloaded DCS World. They've got a joystick and a throttle and some head tracking. You haven't got any modules just yet. You've got yourself set up to get started. And you're about to take your first step into the game, okay, DCS World. So this is the world. This is the game, the simulator. All right, all of your modules that you have bought will be down the bottom here. If it's grayed out, it means you don't have it. You don't have access to it. You can't fly it. So you will have the Su-25, and you'll also have this guy here, the TF51D, the trainer. You'll have both of those. All right, so we're going to be talking about the Su-25. Doesn't matter what you put this on. This is just your background. It shows a cool picture. That's all. So we're going to quickly run through a couple of things before you guys get carried away. So we're going to bring over this little page right here. I'm going to put the link to this in the description below, and this is going to be important for you if you buy the FC3 aircraft. Okay, the FC3 aircraft, so the Flaming Cliffs 3 or the low fidelity aircraft, because you don't have the ability to punch in waypoints. So this is going to help you navigate to certain airfields in the maps. So you're going to download this file. So just click on the link in the description below. Click on the download button right here, and it's going to bring up in your downloads. Where are we? Airport IDs. All right, airport IDs. And we're going to open this up. So here we go, the kneeboard. You're going to extract your folder. Okay, you're going to right click. Once you've extracted it, you're going to say copy, and you're going to come over to your username. Make this bigger so you can see. Username, save games file, and then if you're using DCS Open Beta, as in you downloaded the DCS Open Beta DCS version, you'll have a DCS.OpenBeta, and if you downloaded the release version, it should say DCS World or it'll say DCS Release. Okay, but save games, DCS Open Beta, or whichever one you've got, and you'll have a kneeboard folder in there at some point. If you don't, it doesn't matter. You're just going to right click and you're going to say paste. Replace the files if there's any replacements. Okay, and that is pretty much put into the Su-25. Let's open this up. It's put in on your kneeboard the airport codes to get to a certain airfield, because you can't put in waypoints, right? So just bear with me. Just copy it in exactly how I just showed you there. Okay, in your DCS Open Beta, copy the kneeboard folder straight in, and it should look like that. Okay, it'll have, you probably won't have all these ones, the other ones but you should have all these ones here, the A10, MiG-29, 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 Su-25, blah, blah, blah. All those ones there you should have. Okay, you might not have all the ones that I've got, but it should copy in all the ones that I just showed you. And I'll show you how to get those when we get to it later on down the track. But first things first, that's what you want to do. Put that in. Now, we're going to, on our first taste of the Su-25, we're going to go through how to put an Su-25 into a mission on the mission editor, and you can practice setting your keybinds and taking off and landing and all the rest of it. So you're going to come over here on the right-hand side, mission editor. Click on that, and we're going to go create new mission. Here is your new mission settings. So you will have, if you've just downloaded DCS and you've done nothing else, but you'll have Caucasus and Marianas, I believe, is the other free one. So Caucasus, you're going to choose. In terms of coalitions, doesn't really matter. Okay, at this point, it doesn't matter. Just press OK. So you've selected Caucasus and you've selected OK. So this is your mission editor. Right? This is where you do all the cool stuff, make missions and all the rest. So mouse wheel zooms in and out. So we're just going to put an aircraft at Batumi. Okay, Batumi Airfield. So you're going to come over onto the left-hand side here where the little airplane icon is. And if you mouse over it, it says add or modify airplane group. Click on that. We're then going to select our coalition. Okay, you can have whatever you want. Any coalition you want. We're going to go with Georgia because I know Georgia has Su-25s. Some coalitions, if you choose, for example, let's go Australia. All right, there's no Su-25 to choose from. All right, so some coalitions don't have it. I know Georgia definitely does. So Georgia, and we're going to scroll down to the Su-25 Tango. All right. Task doesn't matter, whatever you want to leave it as. And now your skill. You can either put it on client. Oh, they've only got client. That's it. They used to be player. They've got rid of player. Okay, you're going to put on client. That's it. Client. And now we're going to zoom in. You're going to left click on the map. And there we go. We've got our little aircraft there. Your mission editor will probably look like that. Okay, it'll look like that. A big A will be appeared on there. If you want to change that, you come over into your view, icons, NATO, icons, Russia, and change it. Okay, and then there you go. And then if you want to be able to actually, if you zoom all the way in, if you want to be able to actually see which way your plane's facing, down here, the little tank icon, show models, enable that, and you can see it. All right. Okay, delete that. We don't want to put any waypoints in. So our aircraft at the moment, if we spawned in, it's going to be flying at 6,562 feet, doing 350 knots. So we want it to be spawned in on the ground, not started, because we're going to be practicing all the basic stuff, right? So we're going to come on over. Don't worry about any of this shit in here. Okay, none of that is important to you. That's only if it was an AI aircraft, computer-controlled aircraft. That stuff, it only applies for it. So don't stress about that. You're going to come over to this part here in the waypoint tab, and you're going to select type, and you're going to go down to takeoff from ramp. Click that. Now it's assigned it to parking spot number 5. So each of these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you can select which spot you would like your plane to be parked. So we'll go with number 1, put it right there. Okay, so that's where it's going to spawn in, and that is it. That is all you got to do. So close that, and I use press and hold right mouse to drag the map around as well. Other one you want to kind of have a play around with is the date and time and weather. So come down, click on that, and this is going to bring up your time of day. So you click on this one here, sun and moon, and it tells you what time of day. So you can adjust that. So if you've seen DCS looking really boring and bland, it's because you've got the sun right at midday. There's no shadows, there's no nothing. So just adjust it to either like, sun coming up or sun going down, and it'll look much better and much nicer and cleaner for you. This is your clouds. Okay, again, this is just purely aesthetics, whatever you want to do. So we'll go with that. Broken 5, and we're at 6:45 in the morning on 21st of June 2016. And that's it. That is your aircraft in the game, ready to go. Now, we're going to just press File, and we're going to press Save, and we're going to call this Su-25T Beginner, if I can spell properly. Beginners. All right, so just call it, save it, whatever you want to save it. Done. And you can see down the bottom there, Su-25T Beginners. That's what we called it. And then you can load this map up, or this thing. Say if you're going into the mission editor every time, you can just load it up, load the mission, and fly it. So to fly, all you do is click on the little green circle here with the arrow in it, or you come up to File, Flight, and then Fly Mission is what you want. All right, and we're going to hit Fly Mission, and this is going to bring up our game. So we're going to press Start. It's going to load, and we are into. Oh Jesus! It just crashed on me. DCS has gone down. All right, welcome to DCS World. That'll happen to you a lot. Okay, DCS does crash the desktop fair bit. So anyways, luckily we saved that. Good segue right there. Mission editor. open mission, and then it should have your saved mission that you just saved there. You press OK. It's going to load it up. And then we'll do it again. All right, so we're going to press fly, let it load. So if it takes forever to load, make sure you have got it installed onto an SSD, solid state drive, not a normal hard drive, otherwise it'll take you ages to load up missions, especially if they're very intense, got lots of units and stuff, and minimize your loading time up. So yeah, do that as well. So we're going to select on our choice of aircraft. We've only got the Su-25. That's all we've put in there. There's nothing else in this map. You can fly around all through the Caucasus map, but there's nothing. There's no other aircraft. There's nothing else you can do, shoot, blow up, anything like that. Not that it matters because we don't have any bombs fitted. We're going to press OK, and in we are. We're into the jet. All right. So today, this video is going to be focused on the keybinds, binding all the appropriate stuff that you're going to need to learn how to do the basics, which is flying. That is your mission, is to learn how to start up, take off, navigate, and land successfully. This doesn't have aerial refueling, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so it makes your life a little bit easier to get the hang of this thing. But we're going to go through keybinds. So you press escape, adjust controls, and it will bring up your control options here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just go reset category to default. So I'm going to go exactly as if this was you guys. I haven't got any binds. There's probably binds in here that I set up ages ago when I was playing the Su-25. Back when I first started, it's probably still got them saved in there, but I'm going to wipe them. Feel free to do this as well, guys. So keyboard, just hit, it should already be on default, but if you're not sure, just go reassign everything back to default. Joystick, you're going to go clear category, wipe the thing. Throttle, clear category. Rudder, clear category. Okay, so now our joystick, throttle, and rudder is cleared. One good reason for that when you're setting up a new module is it will assign, DCS tries to air quotes help by assigning things to your module automatically, and what it does, it'll assign your rudder to the throttle, for example. So when you move the rudder, it moves your throttles at the same time. So you're best just to wipe it all and then just go from scratch. And then once you kind of get the hang of how to bind an aircraft up, the basics, it's a lot quicker. The process is a lot quicker. So now we're going to go access commands, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go joystick. We're going to clear it out. Clear, yes. Throttle, clear, yes. Rudder, clear, yes. And again, if you don't have rudder pedals, your rudder won't come up. If you don't have a throttle, your throttle won't come up. If you don't have a joystick, your joystick won't come up. But I strongly suggest you have at least a joystick and a throttle, a HOTAS setup. Rudder pedals at this stage are optional. Definitely would make your life a lot easier going down the track, but don't need the rudder pedals at this point. So that's it. Okay, we've wiped everything. All that we've got left is our track IR. If you've got track IR and your mouse, don't wipe those. Leave those set up how they are. Okay, and if you did wipe them, just say reset back to default. Don't mess with them. Righto. Let's get started. Binds. So we want to be doing pitch, roll, and rudder. Pitch, if you're brand new to a flight sim, is the nose position. So pulling your nose up and pushing your nose forward. So making your aircraft climb up in the sky or go down to the ground. So we're going to push the joystick forward, pull it back, and then we've got joystick Y is detected. We're going to press OK. We're then going to go roll. So roll rolls your aircraft left and right. So joystick left, joystick right. It should recognize your access command. It should be joystick X for you. And then rudder, I'm going to go to my rudder pedals here. If you don't have a rudder pedal, you can assign this to a switch on a HOTAS, or you can assign it to the keyboard. Okay, for your rudder. We'll go through that in a second. So I'm going to assign it here, my rudder pedals, rudder left, rudder right, and then we go, it's picked them up, done. You can see my rudder pedals are moving as I move my rudder pedals. Lovely. Pitch, roll, the joystick is recognized. What we're going to do now is going to put a tune, axis tune on these. So we're going to go to axis tune on pitch. Okay, so I've selected pitch here. Axis tune. Click it. Click pitch. Axis tune. You're going to go curvature of 25. To fine tune, hit the arrow keys left and right. You want 25 curvature. Trust me. Put it on that. Axis tune for roll. Same deal. Drag it. 25. Rudder. Same deal. Axis tune. 25. Done. 1, 2, 3. Done. Next, we want our thrust. So if you have got a throttle that's only got one throttle, it doesn't have a left and a right throttle, it's just one piece. Okay, you're going to bind your thrust to here, thrust, and it'll just make both engines go at the same time. If you have a split throttle, so you've got a left throttle and a right throttle, you're going to assign them in to the appropriate one. So I do have a split throttle. I've got the Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS. So I am going to push my left throttle forward, Joy RZ, and I'm going to push my right throttle forward, Joy Z. Okay, make sure you're binding on the appropriate peripheral. The throttle is what we want to do. That is that. Don't worry about a curve for that one. No dramas on there. Now we're going to go back to all but axis commands. And we're going to, next thing we're going to worry about is our flight controls. So we're going to go search, first things first. Just type in brake. All right, so we've got our wheel brakes. This is your brakes on the aircraft. So I'm going to assign it to a button on my joystick. It's by default W on the keyboard. So if you just want to use the keyboard, W is the button you're going to press for brakes. I'm going to assign it to a button on my joystick. Okay, for my wheel brake, the paddle switch. Done. That is my wheel brake. Air brake on. I'm going to assign it to a button on my throttle. Okay, and again, you can bind this to whatever you need to bind it to. Air brake on and air brake off. Okay, so that'll put your air brakes in and out, your speed brake. And we also want to bind our landing gear. All right, so here is your landing gear. So you got landing gear up, landing gear down, or landing gear up / down. So for every single module in DCS that's got a landing gear, it is default G on the keyboard. I just use G on the keyboard. If you want to bind it to a button on your HOTAS, by all means, go for it, bind it. But I just press G because you only use it when you're taking off and you're landing. It's pretty easy to, press it once when you take off and press it again when you're about to land to put the gear back down. So G, but if you want to bind it, go for it. Landing gear up, landing gear down. You definitely want to make sure you've got that known to you. Next is flaps. So I'm going to bind these because they have a flaps button. So flaps up, I'm going to bind not to my joystick, to my throttle. This is the Warthog, Thrustmaster Warthog throttle has got a flap switch. Flaps up and flaps landing position. Done. If you don't have a throttle with extra buttons, all you got to do is press F. So when you take off, you press G to put the gear up, press F right next to G to put the flaps up, and when you're about to land, you press G to put the gear down, and you press F to put the flaps down. No biggie if you don't have a bind, it's okay. All right, so only if you've got spare buttons. If you don't have a HOTAS that's got a heap of buttons, you're about to come into, this is why you need a HOTAS, because there's so many buttons that makes your life easier if you can just press a button rather than trying to remember a keybind of left control, left shift, L, or kilo, or whatever it is. Just makes your life a lot easier. So that's our flaps done. We've done pitch. Now we want to do trim. So trim hats, this is to trim your aircraft when you're flying along. If it's not flying straight and level, you can trim it out so that it will fly straight and level. So I'm going to got a trim hat on my joystick. Trim nose down, trim nose up. Pretty straightforward. Trim roll left, trim roll right. Okay, so if you want the nose of your aircraft to point down, you trim it nose down. If you want it the nose to come up because your aircraft keeps wanting to dive, you trim nose up. If it's rolling left, you want to roll right, blah, blah. You get the deal. Rudder left and rudder right, I'm not going to worry about at this stage. All right, but if you want to bind that, then go for it. Okay, but for me, I'm good. I've got rudder pedals. I don't really need to really worry about that. All right, so that's trim. We've done all of our stuff, speed brake, wheel brakes. Now we're going to bind our starting up control. So again, this is just press OK to save it. So this is a low fidelity aircraft. So the cockpit you can't click on. So there's no cursor to see on the screen. You can't see a cursor. You can't click on anything on the screen at all. If you want to bring the cursor up, which I do, so I can point at stuff, you press left, alt, and Charlie on the keyboard, C, and then there you go. There's your cursor, but I still can't click on stuff. Okay, just because my cursor's there, I can't click on any of these buttons. They're all just a graphic. They're not actually functional. Nothing in this cockpit works. Okay. So that is that. We've got a cursor if you want it to, I don't know, just it feels weird not being able to see the cursor. Even though I can't click on stuff, it just feels weird for me. So I'm gonna leave the cursor on. It's gonna help me as well, so I can show you stuff. Next one is zoom, because I just tried to zoom in and out. It didn't work. So we're gonna go again, adjust controls, search, and we're gonna search for, this is what I use, zoom in slow and zoom out slow. Okay, so I've got a button on my joystick that I use for every single one of my aircraft. It's the exact same button I use for zoom on every single module that I fly. That is the same zoom in and zoom out that I use. You can also, if you have got a slider on your HOTAS, you can assign it to the zoom view here. All right, so if I assign there, joystick slider, so there's a little slider on the Warthog HOTAS. Okay, and I can use the slider there. That's using the slider. Right, adjusting it, and then that's my zoom in, zoom out. So zoom in and out slow is just a lot smoother. Okay, it's less jerky, I find. So I don't use the slider. So I'm going to unbind that because it annoys me. Access commands. Clear. Done. So we got our zoom in and out. Righto, so got distracted there. Adjust controls. So now we need to set up our engine controls to start the engines. So the first one is electrical power. So you need to put power onto the jet. So right shift and L is the default to put power on the jet. We're going to leave that as standard. Okay, but you're going to use this as starting up, right shift plus L. And then we also need to get our engine start. So we've got engine left start, engine left stop, engine right start, engine right stop. You can bind those separately if you want, which I'm going to do. Engine left start is going to be that button there on my HOTAS. Again, assign these to whichever one you want that you can remember. Engine right start, engine right stop. And if you don't have that many buttons, you can just assign engine start and engine stop, and it'll just start both engines at the same time. Okay, it's not the end of the world. There's our engines. We want cockpit lighting. Lighting. All right, nav lights. I'm going to assign this to a button on my throttle. Get a little pinky switch on the throttle here will be my nav lights, and then my landing lights, your landing gear. It's going to assign it to that. And then you've also got cockpit lighting, which is, I think, L for Lima by default, illuminate cockpit. Okay, so if you're flying at nighttime, you can press that. Done. That is pretty much all your keybinds that you're going to need to bind to do what we're about to do. Let me just quickly search one more just in case you don't have rudder pedals. So if you don't have rudder pedals and you don't and you want to bind it to a, like on the T16000 HOTAS, I believe it's got like a paddle switch at the front of the throttle. A lot of people use that as their rudder. You can bind it here. So aircraft rudder left, aircraft rudder right. It's default Z and X, or you can just use the keyboard to taxi around. Okay, when you're on the ground, you use your rudder to steer the jet. So you will need rudder bound. Otherwise, you won't be able to. You'll just fly. Or you just taxi straight out, and you won't be able to turn. So Z and X are the default binds for aircraft rudder left and right if you don't have rudder pedals. So bind those or use the keyboard Z and X to steer left and right when you do get started. Alrighty, that'll do it. So this is the Su-25. Look at it in all its glory. Not the most attractive looking plane, if I must say. But that's it. This is your starting baby, and this is the Russian A-10 Okay, is the equivalent. It is a ground attack aircraft, and it's in the right hands. It is quite capable. Okay, it's a very capable aircraft. Can do a lot of stuff, take out a lot of targets, and cause a handful for the other side. If you don't kill it, it will make your life a lot harder than it needs to be. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting into this thing because I have seen people that are good at flying the Su-25. I've seen them fly it, and the things that you can do in this is pretty good for like a free module. You know, it's actually pretty well done. So yeah, we're going to learn this together. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and like the video. If you've got any questions, queries, or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. And as always, if you haven't already and you enjoyed the content, I'd super appreciate if you hit the big old red subscribe button. If you want to get notified of any new videos from myself when they come out, or any other content creators for that matter, make sure you click on the little bell icon, select all notifications, and then that way you will get notified from YouTube when a new video comes out from myself or any other ones that you want to be notified by. Hope you enjoyed it, guys, and I will catch you on the next one where we actually go through starting up the aircraft and going for a taxi, and we'll take it out for a fly. All right. I'll see you on the next one. See you later.